everybody. Welcome to I Need the Nightlight. We're really going to try to make all things horror relatable for you. I'm Ryan Johnson, and here with me is Lakrisha Taylor. So hi, Lakrisha.
Hello.
So Lakrisha is in full garb today. Unlike me, I feel like a Halloween failure. Um, I mean, I got a horror movie shirt on. That's got to count for something. But
it's like minimal effort. Like
well,
smallest effort you could do.
They don't really make like tailor-made Spirit Halloween costume size quadruple fat for me, so I'd have to take what I have and run with it. What are you dressed up as today, Lucretia?
So I'm Boo from Monsters Inc. Hence the nice little pigtails. I just didn't want to dye my hair because I did that last year and it was terrible. So we stuck with the crazy blue today. But yeah, it's been fun. And I didn't go to Spirit Halloween. This is from the Amazon. Mm-hmm. I got a nightgown and some leggings off Amazon.
Listen,
you can get it anywhere.
For anybody watching right now, welcome in. Today is Halloween, so happy Halloween to everybody out there. We had a Halloween crisis in my household this morning. My son traditionally has always been super creative. He wants to make his own costumes. We had probably one of the most amazing Georgie costumes I've ever seen. My wife took foam and shoved it up inside of an arm, cut out the sleeves, covered it in blood. We sent him to school dressed in that thing as first grader. And like all the kids were mortified. All the teachers fell in love with it. He dressed up as our boy Stu Mocker from Scream one day or one Halloween.
That was my favorite.
That was my
favorite. So good.
It was great. He's kind of departed from horror in recent years and started doing. He's done DB Cooper one year, which was really cool. He done a Sandlot character last year. So this year, we were all really disappointed because he didn't want to do it again. He didn't want to be creative. He wanted to go the Spirit of Halloween route. And apparently he formed a small cult at school where all the guys were getting inflatable dinosaur outfits.
Random.
Well, and if you look at them in the front, they look awesome. You look at them from behind, they look like walking phallic symbols. So, he was waddling through the house last night, and I was like, I'm not even going to say out loud what this looks like, but it's really disconcerting.
Maybe he thought of that, and that's really what happened. Was like he started thinking about it, and he was like, "Oh, maybe this is a bad idea," and he just didn't want to tell you that.
He's
that's what
9,
it was.
So he shouldn't even be thinking that that's what that is. But
listen. They start them young these days.
I digress. It is where it is. So he got up this morning and had a panic attack, would not put the costume on. So we had to pivot quickly. We were in a thrift store and found, for anybody that watches sports movies, there was an old baseball movie years ago called Rookie of the Year, where the guy that's in American Pie, I can't remember his name, slips, falls on a baseball or something like that, breaks his arm. I don't remember exactly how the whole entire plot plays out, but his name was like Henry Rowan-Gardner. So we found a Cubs jersey. We're big time Cubs fans in this house. We found this Rowan-Gardner jersey. I'm like, this is literally from Rookie of the Year. It's fantastic. So we were panicking out this morning because he wants a costume, but he doesn't want to wear the inflatable dino. And I was like, go get the Rowan-Gardner shirt. So I wrapped his arm up in bandages to make it look like he broke his arm and everything. He put baseball pants on. You want to talk about minimal. Like, it took us 8 minutes to put this together. And I think he's probably more proud of this costume than anything he's ever wore.
You guys are so creative, though. So, that's like, I'm the Spirit Halloween mom. Like, I'm going to be like, okay, what can I buy that I can just throw you in? Like, my kid's Darth Vader. Easy.
See, that's awesome, though.
$15 at Walmart. Like, I'm not really creative when it comes to those things. So it's just not going to happen in my house.
Does your school...
This is about as creative as I get.
Well, that's perfectly fine. Does your school allow your kids to wear masks?
No, they can't. They can't wear masks, and they couldn't bring, I think, weapons.
So you're out Darth Vader's head and his lightsaber right off the bat. So that's one of the reasons. Like, I try to stay away from anything mask related. That's because it's hard. But now, what would have been cool was like if you could have done like a Darth Vader, like had like half of his mask like blown off or something like that, and his face is underneath it. That would have been cool.
Listen, ain't no face. I can't do that. Like, last year we did Scar, right? Because we always dress up at work. Like, so last year we did Scar, and I did full makeup and like spray painted my hair black, and it took me way long. I'm embarrassed at how long it took me to do that makeup. I mean, it looks really good, but it literally took me like hours, and it wasn't anything crazy. So me trying to paint Darth Vader, it's just not going to happen. Like, it'll look terrible.
We
No.
That's one of the things I loved is like last night I had my son at practice and I started getting pictures because my daughter who's 4, she was being I guess started out as a clown. They were like going back and forth on whether or not they were going to do like a creepy clown, but they started like working with the face paint and makeup and things last night. And my wife said I made a mistake. And all of a sudden she sends me this video of Ember like laughing, cackling with the makeup on. So I'm like, why'd you make a mistake? She looks adorable. She said, no, you're not seeing the other side. So then she sends me a video of where Ember put makeup on her and she looks like the great bearded lady from like, like the circus, and it wouldn't come off. She's like, I'm going to have to go to, she said, yeah. She's like, we'll have to go to work with this on tomorrow. It's miserable.
Just go with it. Just make your whole costume like something to do with the deer. It's fine. Just got to go with it at that point.
So Halloween is definitely today. Like you said, you're in costume, and you said already before we even went live, you was talking about how people had already abandoned the group costume. People's already started shedding things there. I don't know what it's like for everybody, you know, across the globe, you know, wherever you're watching from, but here we live in a very small community, and trick or treating is still a big thing. I mean, I know a lot of bigger metropolitan areas, you do like these safe nights and trick or treats and stuff like, and we have our fair share of those too, but the big thing for us this time of year is like where I live, there's a guy that has a full blown headless horseman costume that gets on horseback and like it's just trots up and down the neighborhood and stuff like that. So we're really looking forward to that this evening, but obviously it's not Halloween year round. So we kind of wanted to get that out of the way. I wish it was. I wish we could worship our dad Michael year round, but we can't. So we're going to progress into really the kind of the topic of the show. I know this is our first show that we're putting out there today, but me and Lakrisha has talked about this a whole lot over the last year or two. We don't really feel relatable to a lot of our peers and things like that in the horror community anymore because a lot of this is incredibly gatekeeped. I hate to say it, but horror movies may be one of the most toxic gatekeeped genres that I've seen. And it's bad.
You don't like eat, sleep, and breathe it. It's like you can't be a horror fan because everything you do isn't horror.
And it's all forms of medium. It's not just film. Like you're in the book. Like so, Lakrisha. I'll let you kind of speak to this, but Lakrisha is really into books, whether it be physical medium, audio medium. She reads for a lot of different publishers and things like that. But like I would, like you even said before, that area, that genre is just as gatekeeped as the film side of it. It's like quite a bit different.
Yeah, it gets really hostile, man. Like, there's certain people that, maybe like one author, but then, if there's someone that disagrees, like it can get super heated. And people are really ugly to each other and can be like, well, you obviously aren't, a good reader. You don't get into all these things because you don't like XYZ, or you do like XYZ. And like, I'm a librarian's kid, so like, I'll read anything you put in front of me. I don't care what it is. Like, I'll read it. I have, my opinions vary on books. Like, I go all over the place. I do consider myself pretty critical of writing, right? But also, I'm not going to get on a platform and like trash an author because like, writing's hard work, and like, nothing's ever going to be everyone's cup of tea. So like, I don't know why the people within the community have to be like that. It doesn't really make it a safe place for people to just come and be able to do something that they enjoy. And then there's also the shaming, right, that comes with it. Well, you only read 2 books this week, or you only read 50 books this year, so like you obviously shouldn't be on Book Talk, right? Like some of those things happen. And really, like, if you get to read 1 book that year, you did a great job. Life's hard. There's a lot of things going on. You got 1 book in, that's awesome. I'm proud of you.
There's some years I go without not being able to read anything. Like, especially like we were just alluding to. I've got 2 kids. Lakrisha's got 1. We got families. So, in my early 20s, I'm pushing 40 now, but in my early 20s and late teens and stuff, I got into a lot of film classes and sci-fi, fantasy. I went from watching Bond films growing up, which was the only thing that I was into, to really kind of getting in college, and it was the first time I'd ever seen Blade Runner and movies like that. That really kind of opened up what I was kind of interested in. And once the, married, family, and everything else, I look back and I'm like, God, this movie looks fantastic. I'm still dying to see this, but it came out 2 years ago. Like, what happened? I lost track of time. Then I look, and the movie actually came out in 2012. It's been out 11 years.
Like that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's still 2 years ago. It's perfectly fine. I still have time. I'll get there. But also, like, when you get into a marriage or a very serious relationship, I know I can speak for everybody. Everybody goes through this. It's like, this movie looks awesome. I can't wait to watch this. And your partner is like, will you not watch it without me? I really want to watch this together. And then 6 years later, it's still in the queue. It's still on your list in Netflix. It's actually probably popped off Netflix and came back on like 5 or 6 different times. I've still never seen Breaking Bad because we've been still trying to find time to watch it together, and it just doesn't work.
I'm the opposite on Breaking Bad, though. Like, I just don't like it. Got too popular. I'm that person. I'm like, oh no, too big, too popular. No, I can't watch that.
Shout out to Dusty.
Everyone forgets about it.
Dusty, one of my dear friends, you know him well too. Like, if something gets too big, he wants no part of it. Like, he's still never seen Avatar. Like, we've discussed this, I don't know how many times. He's like, I'm not watching it now because it's this big global phenomenon. I don't care. I'm going to be the cool guy that didn't see it. Yeah, I'm going to make him watch it someday. But kind of back to like the toxicity side of it. Like, it really is problematic. You see a lot of these cool things coming out today that should really help film goers and things like that. Like, you had never really seen Letterboxd until we talked about it the other day. The application allows you to track your movies and stuff like that. I see people use that as measuring devices, I guess you could say, where they're like, well, look what I've watched versus look what you've watched. Like, it's just
the Goodreads of film. That's what people do on Goodreads too.
So the Goodreads. So is that kind of like an equivalent to Letterboxd? Okay.
Yeah. So you track the books you read. You can have a TBR, all those things. But yeah, people use it for that too. I have one movie on there because when I downloaded it, I had just watched Appendage, so I went and put Appendage on there. So I have one whole movie on there, but I did download it.
So one of the big things that kind of goes back to, and it just kind of hit me. Like, I look down, I'm wearing this Scream shirt. Literally, Scream 5 is about toxic fandom. And like, you see, I gotta get you caught. That's the whole purpose of this show, guys. Like, we literally got this whole thing set up because we have made it abundantly clear to each other that we need a layer of accountability to really sit down and start watching some of this stuff again that we've really missed out on.
Without the pressure.
I don't want to be able to like, hey, I'm going to go watch like 15 horror movies this weekend. Someone look at me and say, oh, really? Well, have you seen Martyrs? No, I've not seen Martyrs yet. I want to see Martyrs. I mean, I love horror. Like, I think Martyrs is French. I love, foreign horror film, but also that thing is like trigger warning abound. And I don't know if I want to go through the weekend hating my life and being depressed. So like, there comes perfect times to kind of work through, things that we have on our list. What was the last Scream that you saw? My dog just growled at me back behind me.
2.
Well, that's what I'm wearing right now is 2.
Yeah. Listen, like, I love Scream. I love the first one, like, so much.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, it's where my love for bad boys probably comes from, that and, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, like, I get super nervous when they start making a lot of these because I'm like, I mean, the OG was so great. Like, and the second one, I enjoyed the second one, but, like, then I just was like, nope, I can't get any better, so I just have it. And I honestly, when you said Scream 5, I was like, oh, is that where they're at now? Because I don't even know, to be honest with you. I knew a new one came out. Oh, okay. So we talked about when one came out. When, God, was that? That was months ago.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, like, it's on my list. It's on there somewhere, but who knows how long that list is and like how organized it is because it's not. So.
Yeah, like the fifth one, Scream is always incredibly meta, and it's very self-aware, and it makes fun of what's going on. 5 was like a straight up slap in the face to toxic fandom, and that's what you see with a lot of these horror franchises. I guess it's just the franchises. People will see, all right, like for me personally, I loved 1 and 2, loved them. Kevin Williamson steps away; he's not writing the third one. you had a lot of things happen with Columbine, et cetera, that really changed the plot. And then I was like, God, what is this colossal pile of crap that I'm watching right now? I hated 3. But then I end up, like, I've been on a big, huge Scream kick here lately, and I jump into some type of Facebook group the other day, and it's like either you love Billy, or I'm not going to say the name of the killer in 3, because you've not seen it yet.
Because I read your Facebook post.
Well, so. I spoiled everything for you, so I apologize for that. But it's like, it's a full-on war. There's 12 different Ghostface at this point, but it's like, all right, you have Billy versus Roman. I'm sorry, I'm going to say Roman since I've already spoiled it for you. And I'm like, I have never known that there was a cult following for people that just flat out love Scream 3. Like, you go on Collider. Yeah, it's always like that. People typically kind of round around the bad ones sometimes. I don't get it, but like,
I'm that person sometimes. So like the worst Batman movie that people are like, this is the worst Batman movie on the planet. Like, it's my favorite one.
The one where Batman has nipples. Is it Batman and Robin? I just remember when that came out, everybody was mad.
Listen, it's the one with Poison Ivy.
Batman and Robin.
And listen, it's my favorite, and I like absolutely love it. And everyone is like, "Oh my god, like that's the worst one," but I thoroughly enjoy it, and like I'm okay with that. Like,
it's Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, right? It's Arnold. Yeah.
It just makes me happy. Like it like I don't know why. It's fine. It's just there to be enjoyable. But like 95% of the population thinks it's terrible, but it's fine.
And that I mean, this brings up the perfect point of what we're trying to capture. Like, I found myself getting sucked into this argument between Scream 1 versus Scream 3. I'm like, literally everything that I've been saying I don't want to do, I'm doing right now. And it's so easy to get pulled into it. I'm like, you idiot, how can you like this? This is trash. What are you, part of some cult? And then like 10 minutes later, my wife's looking at me. She's like, are you really mad at some fake person on the internet because they like a Ghostface killer? I'm like, you're right. My blood pressure went up for no reason at all whatsoever.
You get passionate, and that's okay.
But franchises, it's the franchises that brings these pieces out, right? Like, you don't see anybody losing their mind and spouting off at the mouth over a new IP that's came out. Like Hereditary come out. Everybody's like, oh my God, Hereditary is fantastic. Not oh my God, they ruined Hereditary 1. Which, by the way, I thought about you a while ago because I was scrolling through and I can't remember, it was some major publication, but we've been on a big kick, like I was talking about. We've not seen a lot of the stuff that's came out in the last 10 to 15 years. So I was trying to educate Lakrisha the other day on the film It Follows. She hadn't seen it yet.
By the way,
they just announced a sequel.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to. Look, I sat there and I was like, "What am I gonna watch?" So I was scrolling through, and I was like, "Man, I know I need to watch It Follows, but like, do I really want to?" And I kept going back and forth, and I ended up watching Appendage, which I should have watched It Follows. Probably.
Was it your cup of tea?
No, like, and it wasn't even that. It was just like, it felt like a therapist made a horror movie. Like, and they're like, deal with your inner child and how much you hate yourself, or otherwise this being is going to pop out of your side and going to try to take over your life because you hate yourself and you're depressed. It's basically the whole movie. Like, and I'm like, I didn't need a therapy session, yo. I came in here for, it's not what I was signed up for, but that's what I got. So wish I would have watched
thrills and gross kills. That's what we're here for.
yeah. Listen, I wish that would have happened. Wish that's what I would have gotten, but it wasn't. So.
See, you've watched more lately than I have. Like, I was dying to go see. Yeah, you went to the drive-in. I've still not seen Insidious, and I've still not seen The New Exorcist. And like, I know you loved Insidious, but you were kind of indifferent on The Exorcist.
Yeah. Insidious, honestly, like, I went in expecting nothing from it because I've watched all the Insidious movies. And so I didn't expect a ton from it. And it was pretty good. It's got the normal kind of things you expect from Insidious with the nice little, the dread buildup and the jump scares and, some of those pieces. But The Exorcist, man, like, it was almost very, like, you could just call what was going to happen. And, like, it felt too hard, like, almost like trying to pull things from the first movie.
Like went overkill with the fan servicing, but just didn't execute on it.
Yeah, it wasn't like, honestly, it wasn't even really that spooky like that. You know, The Exorcist really gave me this like almost like visceral dread of like,
oh yeah, even still,
this really intense situation. And this one was just like, I was like, when is something like gonna happen? Like, I was in the drive-in, you know, with Taylor, one of our friends, who's like the biggest weenie on the planet. And like, you know, we've got the backup on the car and like super spooky setting. And like, I was sitting there eating chips and like, not even worried I was going to throw them everywhere. Like, because it was just, and I was so disappointed because those are like, I love that kind of thing. And it just like hurt my heart a little that it was not very good, in my opinion.
That's one I can't watch a whole lot of. Like, I know it's another thing we've been talking about. Oh, hush.
Be nice, my dog's
she's want to run out the back door. But one thing that we talked about quite a bit is the different genres of horror, the different takes and things like that. And that's something we'll probably dive into a little bit, you know, further on in a future episode. But for me, I'm a traditional slasher guy. Now my wife, she likes slashers. I just recently really got her into Scream. She'd never seen Scream until a few years ago. And she's fell in love with it. We took a whole weekend and just basically binged everything. Like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, my wife went from not being interested in Scream at all to this being her Valentine's Day gift. We got matching shirts, tickets to the movies, went out to dinner, and literally went and watched Scream 5 because she was all about it. That's what she wanted to do.
That's not mouse pad.
Where'd you get that? Oh my God, I love that.
I think I got it like maybe a month ago or something.
I didn't even know you had that. That's phenomenal.
I love it.
So I've seen the shirt. I think she actually wore her shirt that says the same thing on it to work today because they're letting them do it in the clinic. So she wore that up. But I don't know. Like with her, she likes the slashers, but she is really reticent to want to sit down and watch anything possession related. So that's something that I don't get to see a whole lot of because she does not do demons at all. Demons is not in her bag. Not something that she wants to. She's never seen the original Exorcist.
I've read the book too, but
see, I've not read the book.
It's great. Yeah, so my husband doesn't like horror movies, like of any sort. Like he's like, they're so stupid. Like he watched Insidious Red Door at work. That's what the guys voted on at work, and they only like have one thing they can watch it on. Prison, you know. So he watched it and he was like,
and a note, he's not in prison.
He's not in prison, yeah. No. He just works there. He just works there. Clarification, I guess, is important. He came home and he was like, God, I watched a movie that like I know you're gonna love it. Like, and I was like, well, what was it? He was like, Red Door. And I was like, what? And he's like, Insidious Red Door. He was like, I already sent you the trailer because I know you're going to love it. So, like, I end up watching movies alone a lot, unless I can sucker Taylor into it, because, like, I'll make her come to my house and, like, or I'll go to her house so we can watch them. But he's just, like, not a fan of them at all. So, like, anytime we watch one, he's just like, this is so stupid. Like, no matter what genre, really, either. Like, anything at all, he's just like, this is stupid. Why are they walking so slow? Why are you going downstairs? Like, you know, he's just not here for it. And like, I'll watch everything, any type of horror. I'm down to watch it. And I'm that person that likes those like B-list, really bad horror movies.
Oh, like, yeah.
He jokes, he's like, do you go find the one with the least stars on Netflix and watch it? And I'm like, well, sometimes. It just depends on my mood.
See, I don't know if me and you've ever talked about this, but this would be right up your alley. Have you ever looked into Shudder?
I have looked into it. But for that reason, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, right, like on murder and serial killers, because I'm that person that's been obsessed with it since I was a child. Come by it, honestly. My mom's the same way. And they, like, it was one of the ads, and I was like, this kind of sounds like something that I would like. But you know how I am, and I have the attention span of, like, a gnat. So, like, I got distracted the next moment and never actually did anything with it. But it looks like something that I think I would like.
So with Shudder, I mean, it's basically Netflix, but what it is it's all like, it gives an audience for low budget films that didn't make it to the big screen. So you'll see a lot of stuff show up there that are really like some of it's B, D tier movies, but they're fun. You know, I'm really into sometimes I just want to turn something on and be entertained. And it's there. But also on top of that, you see some that kind of come through the pipeline that are like Shudder originals that they really invested and put time and money into, and they're crazy. Like some really good movies. There's one, I'll get you the name to it and I'll try to put it in the show notes. I'm drawing a blank right now because I wasn't expecting to really have to speak to it. But there's one that came out, I want to say about a year ago, where this gentleman accidentally finds himself in like an AA group for serial killers.
About that.
And it's phenomenal. Like one of my buddies just recently watched it and kind of reviewed it and put it on Facebook. And I was like, oh, I think I remember this movie. Is this like the AA for serial killers? He's like, 100% it is. And the kid's not a serial killer. He's just wandered into a room with like 6 of the worst people in human history. And he's like, oh.
That'd
and
be
like
awesome, though, because like, get them to be your friend, then they could just like people for you right off your list. Like, become broskies with the serial killer.
Watch the movie.
Like, hey, guess what?
Watch the movie. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just saying with where your mind is tracking and where you're going, you definitely need to check it out. So I'll get you the detail of that one.
If it was a girl that wandered in, just saying. Somebody should write that. Somebody take that down. Girl wanders into an AA or, serial killer group. Look at the smut to follow. Just saying. Great storyline for a smutty book. I'd read it all day long.
Also, Lakrisha is all about smut.
That's accurate. Yeah. I can't even say that that's not true. I mean, my whole wall back here is literally from a smutty book series. all what this is. So, and I like dark. Of course, I'm a horror fan, so I like dark romance. Like, I want mafia. I want touch her and die. I want like guy looks at her wrong and kills him. Like, I'm like, yes. You said
some of the stuff that you've told me about is like the most morbid stuff that I've ever heard in my life. Well, the car wreck thing, I don't even know who was telling me about it. You or Taylor the other day was telling me about it. I was like,
Psychos in Love, for anyone out there who wants to read that. We also, if somebody's like, God, this book's really messed up, check those triggers. I'm like, oh, gotta read it. Like, because I've not found a trigger for me yet in a book. And I've read like splatter too, and let me just tell you, it didn't trigger me, but I was real confused and concerned about the person that wrote it a little. Because, like, I think I told you about that book, too. Mm-hmm. It was a whole thing, like, I mean, I read it real quick, because I read fast, but I was like, I don't really know what I read, or how I got here. But, it didn't upset me, didn't make me puke. So, I've yet to find a trigger. So, if you've got suggestions out there, let me know. But
that's the other big thing about this. I don't want to put it out there. We're going to develop social media platform around this because one of my biggest thing is I want recommendations. I want, like, if there's something jacked up, messed up out there that I've not seen yet, I would love to be able to just take down a list. Letterboxd only gets me so far. So I've got friends that are pretty twisted. It's been turning me on to some stuff here lately that I've been watching. I've even got one friend who even went out of his own way to make his own flick. And I'm telling you, that was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever went through.
Watch that.
I think I've actually, I do.
You have the poster?
I've just got random stuff sitting anywhere. This is my boy.
Silica?
This is my boy, Tyler. If you end up chancing upon this video, fantastic debut, man. I know he's been working with another podcast up in Rhode Island. So to kind of backtrack a little bit, he made his own flick called Silico Solutions. Done a very intimate debut close to where we live, very small theater, food truck, VIP tickets. The whole entire experience was phenomenal.
Elevated chicken right there.
Micah, I had to do some retractions on that. Me and Micah's been talking again. I'm loving that. I'm loving this man now. He's jumping into his own podcast universe as well. So I'm hoping his endeavors work out really well. But the food was good. The merchandise was great. Everything was a great time. Went over really well for him. So now he's going to take it on the festival scene. And like I said, I know there's another podcast that really dug the material. They're helping him set up for a show in Rhode Island. And then he's got another one that he's going to premiere in Tennessee at some point in November. I'm going to try to hit the one in Tennessee again, just to watch it again. If you've not seen it, like, quick, non-spoiler review, it's twisted. Like, it's a really good introspective look at how someone's battling their own internal demons and lets the demons kind of take control. but it's a very kind of slow burn movie, like an infinite chase scene is what I would kind of explain it to. And I love that aspect of it because the dread does build up. It's just a
It's like
creeping
gore
dread throughout
too,
the whole
right?
entire film. Yeah.
Like gore spin.
So it's very psychedelic too, right?
Yeah.
He built it with psychedelic vibes in mind. But once you get to the back end of the movie, the last 15 minutes of that movie is like, it's ASMR like you've never seen it. So it's like a whole new subgenre of horror that I feel like is about to come out. It's like psychedelic body horror ASMR. It was mind blowing. We were all sitting there watching. He's like, I half expected some people to get sick and get up and walk out, but people were like cheering. Like
you gotta find the niche, man. You just gotta find your group of
like
people.
he's like, I was really kind of surprised, like how many people was behind this. Is like, this is
especially
phenomenal.
In a small town. It is surprising, right?
Yeah,
like we also are like in very like the Bible Belt, like
yeah.
Too. So like it's interesting, but there's always your people out there. You just got to know where to look, know how to advertise.
That's the thing. We're in the South, so and I think that's a good topic to bring up, kind of in closing. Is like in the South, a lot of the stuff that we are into is considered widely taboo. Like, I could go outside right now.
They really believe in it.
Well,
like,
yeah.
Too though, like. You don't want to mess with the Ouija board. You don't want to do this because, you know, there's all of those spooky Appalachian stories about like all these different pieces. And so they really kind of worry about like tempting, you know, those
which is
forces.
What sucks because living in the Appalachian Mountains, there is so much lore and stuff for what we're into. And that's definitely something that we're going to get into as we progress through the shows and stuff. But like right now, I could walk outside. You've seen my house. I could literally throw a rock. This is no exaggeration. Not me doubting my arm. I am not Patrick Mahomes. I'm telling you right now, I could go outside and throw a rock and hit 4 churches. No, 3 churches.
Yeah.
On my street.
You're very church. You're back in the middle of nowhere, but they made sure that there was enough churches for you.
There's churches everywhere. But we're definitely glad that you guys got to come hang out with us today. We just kind of wanted to touch on what we're here for, what we're really wanting to set out to do, but also kind of our initial peak interest in what really drives us towards this genre that we love so much. I love movies. She loves movies. I'm into the book side, but I'm a Stephen King loyalist. I know she reads a little bit of everything. Video games, like I could throw down some Resident Evil and some Silent Hill. Like, it's just our niche and where we want to be. But moving forward, we definitely want any and all recommendations that you have for us. Anything that you've seen, throw it our way. Because I promise you, if it's came out in the last 10 to 15 years, I ain't seen it. Unless it's a Scream movie, probably. I've really not touched it. So definitely throw that out there. And where it is Halloween, everybody enjoy your family, enjoy terrifying people if you can. It's the best way to enjoy Halloween, in my opinion. Scaring small children, making sure they can't sleep for the next 3 weeks.
Unless it's my kid who loves it. So
yeah, I see that's mine. Too, so. Local haunts, if you got haunted houses, any kind of attractions around, hit those up. One of my favorite things is that a lot of the ones local here will run that extra weekend after Halloween. So we're going to hit Fallsburg up next weekend. It's here in Kentucky, and it's supposed to be nationally renowned, but I've never been, so I'm definitely wanting to check that out.
It looked really cool. I looked at the website and looked at some of the pictures, so it looks like you guys will have fun.
You got anything going on this week?
No. Probably gonna. I've got a couple movies actually that I added to my list that I'm gonna try to watch throughout the week, but you know, we'll see what happens with that. But I've got a plan to watch a couple movies this week and hopefully read some books because I've also not read in a while. So
love it. Well, next week, probably the episode that we're gonna just kind of a quick preview. IGN just recently released their top 25 horror movies of all time, and boy, do we have some suggestions and disagreements with that list. But we're going to do it in a nice way, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how I feel yet.
Ryan, you need to rein it in because you're gonna want to get ugly.
I'm going to slip back over the line into the toxic fandom, and that's not what we're here for. Nope. No gatekeeping. Everything's going to be play. Horror is for everyone. Definitely thank you, everyone, for coming out. Remember, we're going to try to make everything horror relatable for you. Don't forget, if you get spooked, leave that nightlight on. Thank you all.
Bye, guys.